Welcome to Subramani. This is a good question. How important is portfolio sizing? How is it done? Is it an art or a science, right? So portfolio sizing or position sizing is a nice concept. So first of all, let me explain the concept. How much of equity you will have in your total portfolio is also portfolio sizing. How much of one share will be there in your portfolio is also portfolio sizing. So here I'm talking of both. How much you put in real estate and equity, in debt and gold, all that is portfolio sizing also. So I keep joking about this when people come and ask me, should I buy a particular share? Okay, let me call it ExxonMobil, so that there is no confusion about. SEBI does not come and ask me why did you talk about this particular example. And ExxonMobil, and I tell you, yeah, ExxonMobil is a good price, a good share to buy, and you go and buy 50 shares. Now, in your total portfolio, that does not matter at all. It's insignificant, and that price actually doubles. You're very happy, you're saying, oh, Subra told me to buy this share, I bought this share, and this price is doubled. But what impact does it have on your life, on your portfolio? That is what portfolio sizing should matter. It is something, it's a variable which you completely control. It is a fantastic risk leveraging tool, right? A reckless sizing can wreck your portfolio. So you have to be careful about that, and buying too small a quantity means it's going to have no impact on your portfolio, right? What is the point in buying? If my portfolio is worth 50 crores, I go and buy some share worth for 10 lakhs. It's going to have no impact on my portfolio. Even if the 10 lakh becomes 20 lakhs, it's going to be a rounding of error. So when your portfolio is 50 crores, the minimum size that you should be buying is 50 lakhs, which is 1%. And then you keep going up and down. Maybe you exit also, but at least that much you should be doing. There's no point in saying, oh yeah, I think it's a good share, I bought 5 lakhs worth of it. If your net worth is 50 crores, it doesn't matter. So portfolio sizing takes all this into account. And a strategy with modest edge but excellent position is better than something with strategy with great edge but wrong sizing. If you get the sizing wrong, for example, if you have Bharti Airtel, maybe you bought it at 300 rupees, but if you bought only 200 shares, then what is the point? Today prices have gone up, all that has happened, but it doesn't really matter. But if you had bought 20,000 shares and that was a big amount of money in your portfolio, then maybe 2% of your portfolio, then you kept on doing an SIP and kept adding to it, right? So then today you will have a reasonably good quantity. Maybe you'll have 10,000, 20,000 shares at today's prices. So therefore it will have a greater impact. So first of all, it is the primary risk control lever. There is no doubt about that. And I see this often when people with ESOP, and ESOP being 80% of their net worth, forget being 80% of their equity, it is 80% of their net worth, because they just don't get a heart to sell the share in the company in which they're working. Even after they leave, they're emotionally attached to it. They say, oh, in that company is what I learned this, etc., whatever be the emotion. So that causes bad portfolio sizing. So it's a single oversized position can wipe out months or years of gain or your entire account. And even if you're right 70% of the time, remember 30% of the time is enough to wipe you out. It directly determines the volatility of your equity curve and your maximum drawdown. If you had let's say you had ESOP of HDFC Limited, you would have made money because HDFC Limited never scared you. It never went from 200 to 20 and 20 to 300. It never give you that kind of high beta high standard deviation kind of a return. So you could have held on. But if you held on to something like a Google or even Amazon, you would not have had it so smooth. There was a huge fluctuation. So you may have been up and down in your portfolio dramatically. So it could have caused more pain for you. And that time the portfolio sizing would have hurt you, saying, oh my God, why is 70% of my money in Google? You may not have thought too badly if 60% of your money was in HDFC Limited, because it was it was less volatile. And why am I talking about HDFC Limited? Because it does not exist, right? So the difference between surviving long enough to uh, basically live through the bad times of that particular share is a skill. Let's say you were always very confident about a particular share. You bought it at 10, you bought it at 20, you bought it at 100, and now it is 300, and you are holding on to a big sized position. It comes down from 300 to 150, and your research is very confident that it is a good buy even at 150. It's definitely not a sell. So you keep buying. The question is, can you keep doing this? Because your other part of your portfolio should be feeding you during this time. So that's the challenge when you have a slightly wrong portfolio sizing. It is basically the difference between surviving long enough to edge play out and blowing up early, right? So in short, picking good stocks and good entries at good prices is useful. So if you ask me and I recommend a share, and you don't buy enough of it, that is bad portfolio sizing. Or I would always recommend that you keep buying a small percentage every month, but at least you start with 1%. You don't go do less than that. So if your portfolio is 20 lakhs and you are not putting at least 20,000 in that particular share to start with, it's not even worth it, right? So is portfolio sizing an art or science? That's also a question somebody has asked. So largely it is science, because you can put in a lot of formulae, and rigorous mathematically evolved frameworks are there. I think Kelly Optimal is there, but you can go and search on Google for Kelly, then volatility targeting, right, or risk parity, etc. Go and check for all these things on Google. You will be able to find it. You can backtest a lot, but still ultimately you have to build your portfolio for going forward. The core principle is always the same. Make the rupee risk per trade a function of account size and your edge, and the trade's expected volatility or drop. So if you think it is going to be more volatile, you have to be more you have to spread over the buying over a longer period. I mean, I started buying Indigo at 800, and I bought as late as 5,600 or 5,700 again I may have bought. So right, so that helps in portfolio sizing. It increases size in the portfolio, but more gradually. There's no great hurry to go and say 20% of my net worth is in one stock. Not necessary. It will happen. You will start with a longish portfolio, and you will come to a concentrated portfolio. That is the time when you have to worry about the portfolio sizing. Sorry. Is it an art? It is also an art, because at some stage you may decide to override the rules and say, okay, for this particular share I'm overriding the rules. That's not easy. So that position is art. Choosing which volatility measure to use, standard deviation, ATR, or saying, oh, the overall impact, it will be very severe as I'm getting older, so I need to reduce, right? Adjusting for correlation, when you already know that, I mean, this is the same old formula, saying I'm buying more of an ice cream making company, but I will also buy more of an umbrella making company, because if it rains too much, then it is umbrella which is going to sell, and if it is sunny, then it is ice cream which is going to sell. So as you buy more and more of the ice cream manufacturer, you buy more and more of the umbrella manufacturer. Therefore you're saying, yeah, I'm taking greater risk in portfolio sizing here, but I'm also counter sizing with another share which is an umbrella share, right? Practically, how is it done? So first is a fixed fractional, which is perhaps the most important thing, is having a fixed percentage of your current capital as a starting point. Normally 1%. I do 1 to 3%, but that's a good starting point, and very quickly taking the losses and getting out of it if it's not doing well. A recent case was, I bought Bajaj Auto Finance, Bajaj Housing Finance, at about 118 or 119. Then I slowly watched it go down to 111, 112. Almost a 10% fall had happened at 109, and I decided I am unable to understand, so I will get out. So then portfolio sizing doesn't matter after you have got out, but initially when I got in maybe with 0.5% or 1% of my portfolio. That was big enough for me to feel bad about it, and so I got out, because I thought there were better things to buy, right? So similarly, you can do such things. So that is first, fixed fractional. Position sizing depends on the position size is the size of the company that you're buying into the risk percentage, divided by stop percentage. I put in the stop loss pretty early, so 10% for me is the stop loss in a trading thing, and 20% in a investment. A volatility base, which is as a percentage of volatility. If it is more than so much volatile, I'll get out, or I will spread my buying over 3-4 months, 6 months, 8 months, whatever. Then there is the Kelly criterion. Please go and have a look at it in Google. You'll be able to get a much better answer. Then there is optimal, which is Ralph Wince's method of portfolio sizing. Then there is risk parity, volume targeting, saying what percentage of the market that you're buying, right? All those things, especially if you're a fund manager. If you're an individual, then it doesn't matter. I mean, you can go and pick up as much MRF as you want. But if you're a fund manager, you can't go and pick up 1 lakh MRF, and even picking up 5,000 shares of MRF is not going to be very easy. Not that it's a small amount, but then there can be a portfolio method which many people use, including I use sometimes, is to say I will put a fixed amount into that share. Let's say it was Indigo, and I first bought it at 800 rupees, and I decided to put 50,000 rupees every month into that share. So today if I put 50,000 and the share price is say 6,000, I'll get 8 shares. But when it was 800, I would have got 60 shares, right? So you have to keep on, I mean, this is, I would think, slightly inferior way of doing, but it improves the size of the share in your portfolio. So you bought only 1% initially to start with, but every month you added a small portion, so now you are at 4%, right? So these kind of things can happen, and then as your conviction increases, you do better and better. So practically what all can you do? Never risk more than 2 to 3% in while buying a share. Slowly the concentration may increase and you may go up to 7-8%, but beyond that you shouldn't be going. You should actually be selling. Total portfolio risk should not exceed 10 to 15%. Downsize your portfolio if there are drawdowns, but you may downside disproportionately. Some shares which are good, which you think has a better future, you may hold on. So then rethink your resizing policy. Recalculate position based on current account balance, some change in gold prices and things like that. For diversified portfolios, add correlation adjustment, and but if you are going to do nothing, at least start with that 1% and going up to 7-8% and stopping there. Thank you.